Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very unconventional cooking video for you guys. I actually want to show you guys how I adjust and make decisions when a recipe isn't quite going my way, but I'm gonna get more into that later on in this video. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do in this Salmon Wellington recipe is I'm going to take about a cup's worth of frozen spinach. I'm going to defrost that in the microwave for 30-second intervals, and then while that's going, in the meantime, I'm going to take an entire brick of cream cheese, which I had already cut up, and doesn't have to be perfect cuts, just roughly cut it up. And here I have my defrosted spinach. I just strain any of the excess water from it and then put it over top of my cream cheese. I'm going to then put this in the microwave again for 30-second intervals until the cream cheese is soft enough that I can actually mix it. And I'm going to test this out by mixing it. So if it's still really rough and hard to do, put it back in the microwave for 30 seconds and try again. I'm going to then add in about a half a cup worth of feta cheese, or about half of a container, and I'm just going to use my hands to crumble it over top. I will then go in with some pepper, and there's no need to add salt in this recipe because the feta cheese is all the salt you'll need. And then I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to a bigger bowl because I realized mine was too small, and give it all a good mix. Then we're going to just set this aside and we're going to move on to the next step. So here I have a large baking tray. As you can see, it's been well loved, and I'm going to line it with some parchment paper. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my phyllo dough, and here you're going to see me run into one of my first problems, which was the phyllo dough was really cracking and breaking on me. And I did follow the instructions on the box and still wanted to crack on me, but I'm just gonna fix it up by pressing it together with my hand once it warms up a little bit, and then I'll turn that more jagged side upwards because we're gonna get our second piece of phyllo dough and layer it on top, and it's really gonna clean up that edge. So once I have those two pieces of phyllo dough attached by pressing them together, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to add on my pesto, and I'm just going to put little spoonfuls all over. Then I'm just going to take the back of a spoon and spread out the pesto, making sure to leave an inch border. We're then going to butcher our salmon because I thought it came with the skin cut off, and I would go into more depth on how to do this, but honestly I think the last time I butchered a fish was in culinary school. So it's been a while. And then we're gonna go ahead and you're just gonna lay it on top, and if there's any excess salmon, you're just gonna wanna cut it off and then layer it back on top, trying to make sure to make a rectangle. You'll see what I mean here. It's easier to see than have me explain it. Once at this stage, I'm going to go ahead and take that spinach and cream cheese mixture that we made earlier, and I'm going to layer it on top of the salmon, making sure to make it as even as I possibly can, and then we're going to fold up the edges. And this is where I run into problem number 3. I had nowhere near enough phyllo dough. I bought 2 sheets thinking one would be on the bottom of the salmon and one would be on top, and clearly 2 sheets equaled 1. I had to figure out a solution on how to cover the top of this salmon. Luckily, I had a pie crust and a pizza crust, so I at least had some dough to work with, and I ended up going with the pizza crust simply because it was rectangle and it was just going to fit better over the salmon. So I just layered it on top, made sure to seal any little holes that there was in the dough, and then I'm basically just going to stretch it over the phyllo dough and then press it lightly with my fingers to make sure that it's sticking together. And you don't need any excess water or butter to do this. It's stuck perfectly fine. and then I just used some scissors to cut off any excess dough. Then you're just going to want to brush this with butter and then place it in the oven at 350 for about 20 to 30 minutes, or until the pizza crust on the top is golden brown, or the phyllo dough that you might use instead, which I would recommend, is golden brown. And as you can see, despite all of the many hiccups in this recipe, it still came out really good, and the pizza crust was really crispy on top. The fish was nice and flaky, and it all paired together really well in the end. And I hope you guys liked this recipe. I definitely want to show you guys it again now that I know all the tweaks that I'd like to do to this recipe. Give me a thumbs up if you want to see that. And until next time, guys, bye!